Nobody's smiling. Nobody's smiling. Nobody's smiling. Nobody's smiling. Nobody's smiling. Nobody's smiling.
So we're gonna start this, man, for the people who are here. We're gonna keep the information flowing, man. You know what I'm saying? Wherever the information takes us is where we go, man. I'm gonna bring up a certain topic in hand. Benjamin Banneker, right? For those who don't know, Benjamin Banneker was the one who designed the White House. He's a brother, some would call him a Moor. I won't bring special attention to his works.
He also designed a Bunsen burner too, right?
That's right, that's right. And it was the first person to actually hand make a clock here in the States. Wow. The first time anyone ever made a clock was that brother. He was really versed in astronomy and brother had a lot of knowledge. So the reason I want to bring him up, you know what I'm saying, is because you got to think about it, you know what I'm saying? If we were living in a society that was so racist, right? They were looking at people as 3/5 as a man, black people, you know what I'm saying, brothers or whatever the case may be. If they were looking at the brothers as less than, why would they go to a brother to design their empire? You know what I'm saying? Unless we were living at a time where brothers was really designing everything. You know what I'm saying? It had to been a time when it was really common practice to use someone who knew the craft to build your structures. So how is it that we go from that to now calling the man 3/5 of a man? You know what I'm saying? Something had to happen for them to really really uncover the truth in terms of who were really building these structures and building these buildings and building these cities. You know what I'm saying? Benjamin Banneker wasn't really a rare story. There were a lot of brothers out there who had the knowledge who were being used as contractors to build up structures. You know what I'm saying? But something might have happened, had to happen that it went from that as a norm for the powers that be to go to these brothers for this knowledge to build these structures. Something had to happen from going to that to now they're not being used no more. Now their credit is being taken away. Now what they're built is being credited to other people. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times, you know what I'm saying, when people are looking at this country as a them kind of a thing, it's not a them kind of a thing, man. All of our resources all of our talents were being used to build this thing from the ground up. You know what I'm saying? From all levels of creation. Even the word America itself, they say it was named after who? I dispute that. I dispute that because the people who started this country, right, were Moors and Hebrews. When Columbus first came to this country, he needed, and the brother covered this in his last presentation, he needed Hebrew-speaking Moors in order to communicate with the Hebrews who were already here, right? Now look at the word itself, America, right? I already covered that all the continents were covered by start with the same letter. Africa, America, Asia, Australia. So now here comes somebody who names America Vespucci, whatever the case may be. He's going to hit the whole continent over him? Nah, man. Look at the word itself, America. If we were started by Moors, Amorica, right? What was the first country to recognize the United States as a country? Morocco, right? Morocco is a Muslim country, a Moorish country, a Moor country. So we had to start tying in the roles the Moors played into creating this land. Because the reason, why it was called America, it had to do with the Moors. That's why that Moor is in that word America. It's really Amorica, the land of the Moors. Right? Thanksgiving, what do we eat? Turkey.
I don't eat that. You said we.
Well, we in terms of a country, in terms of what the mainstream is. But yet we don't really question the fact that if it's so much of an American holiday, why not name it after an American bird? No, you want to name it after a Muslim country, right? The turkey is named after a Muslim country, a Moorish country. But we overlook these things, right? Right? We celebrate Independence Day, right? July 4th. We celebrate our Independence Day, July 4th, right? Now check this out. July 4th falls on what? 7/4. Now check this out. We're going to get into some numerology right now. The Moors always leave their signature using numbers. The numbers they always use is the number 7 and the number 11. Right? For instance, great example, the King James Bible, which we all use here. King James was a Moor. You know why? The King James Bible was made in 1611. Right? Now let's backtrack. When did the Moors enter Europe? The year 711, correct? Right? Now look at the King James Bible, 1611. 1 and 6 is 7, 711. How many scholars it took for them to write the King James Bible? 47. 4 and 7 is 11. The Moors, they leave that signature in whatever they do. You know what I'm saying? When Columbus came to this country, that first year, what is it? 1492? For those who know numerology, you add 1 plus 4 plus 9 and 2. You know what I'm saying? Those numbers add up to 7. He came with 250 people on that ship, 2 and 5 and 7. So throughout history, they leave these signatures to let you know who was involved with these things. So when you look at that King James Bible, yeah, you can tell King James is a Moor, but the mathematics he left behind for us to decipher. You know what I'm saying? So when they say things like America was named after some white dude, nah, man. The people who came here first, the people who came in that ship with Columbus, those Hebrew Moors, those Ladinos, the term Ladino is actually a Moorish-speaking Hebrew. The Moors who came here with Columbus, who helped them communicate with those who were already speaking Hebrew in this land. Those were called Ladinos. And then you mix them with the Tainos, and then you get Latinos. Right? So that term Ladino was always mixed around it before we even came here. They were the people who were speaking Hebrew, who so happened to be Spanish Moors. You know what I'm saying? So when we see the creation of America and they call it America, I like to decode and chop things down, man. And that name America did not come from somebody's name, man. It came from the people who really actually built these lands, who were speaking Hebrew, who were Moors. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of this information we have to sometimes challenge and not totally accept, and we have to come back and kind of decipher it and ask more questions about this land we in right here, man. A lot of the Hebrews, a lot of the Moors had a lot of input and a lot of their blood, sweat, and tears in building this land up, and we have to come back and acknowledge that. You know what I'm saying? So that's what information I wanted to put forth, man. If anybody has some questions, anybody wants to add to that.
Yeah, I got a question.
Definitely.
Because you stated that America was never named after a white man named Amerigo Vespucci, right? Because that's what we've been taught.
That's what we've been taught.
Right. So now my question to you is, if the name America wasn't the name of America itself, what was the name of America before it was America? And where did that name come from?
That can be disputed. But what I'm saying is we have to start putting one and two together.
Now I understand what
the fact that it's called America, and it sounds very close to a Moor record in terms of translated, because it sounds like the lands of the Moor. And the first country to recognize the United States as its own entity was another Moorish country. You know what I'm saying? So you have to start putting, and we eat turkey in Thanksgiving. You know what I'm saying? We got to start putting these things together. And when they say things like, oh, a white man named Africa, or a white man named America, that's just them putting us in a paradigm. You know what I'm saying? And not giving credit to those who really named the land. You know what I'm saying? So whether or not that's true or not, that's just my way of really decoding what they're giving us when we were little, man. You know what I'm saying? Challenging that,
right.
Making it better.
All right. Well, you said decoding, but we deal with facts.
Right.
We deal with the information.
Right.
Us as Israelites, we deal with the facts and information and the evidence.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We don't just go about what connection may have been, and there has to be a solid evidence that will prove a statement that you make. So a statement that you made, like America not being named after a white man, which we all know.
I didn't say it was. I just said I disputed in terms of what else was going on in that time and who was here at the time.
All right.
I'm not saying I have facts that America is not named that. What I'm saying is we have to question that. We have to not just totally accept it and see what else was going on at the time and who was here at the time.
So now I feel before Tom. So my question to you is, based on what you've been trying to teach us, or based on what you're telling us, what was the name of this great continent before it was America?
That's a good question.
Well, I can tell you that it's in the Bible. It was named Arzareth. When you read 2nd Ezra chapter 13, verse 40.
How you spell it?
Arzareth, A-R-S-A-R-E-T-H.
And they go that letter A again.
That letter A, right. So this is why I'm asking you, because if you're saying that that country was not named after a white man named Amerigo Vespucci, the Bible claims, and it tells us that.
Come up here, family.
I mean, right. So what I was saying is that the land, what we call America now, before it was called America, was really named Arzareth, A-R-S-A-R-E-T-H. All right, and we can find that in the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 13, verse 40 to 46. All right, so this is how we know that America was called Arzareth. Now, about where America came from, we've been taught that it was named after a white man that conquered this continent, named Amerigo Vespucci. And that's basically one of the things that we want to get together, because the brother says it did not come from a white man named Amerigo Vespucci. But what we've been taught, this is where this white man actually conquered these continents and named it after his own self, just like the white man always do. After he conquers a land, he named it after his own self. So I would like to know, what was the name of America before it was called America, if it wasn't Arzareth? That's all.
No, I just want to ask you a question.
Okay.
All right. The question is, you dispute that Amerigo Vespucci is how we named this country, but what led you to that, to your belief that it was named that Amora?
Just knowing how this beast works, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes they'll do that just to throw you off, to make you think that they the ones that, you know what I'm saying? But when you gotta really, like, why not call the land Columbus if he was the one who came here? You know what I'm saying? It's like they throw you off. Like, and I throw those numbers out there in terms of the Moors leaving their signature, using that 7, that 11 as their signature, because I feel like they probably felt like there would probably become a time when all of their works would be erased. And the only way to really determine what they did is to leave these little signatures behind. You know, but that's just my own understanding of that. But you can see that's what's going on. Like, you know what I'm saying? This information to come out that the word Washington, the last name didn't even exist. Like, there's no Washingtons coming from Europe. You know what I'm saying? So where did George Washington, that last name Washington, come from? But a lot of people will tell you that it's a translation. It means to cut down. That last name means to cut down the roots. You know what I'm saying? It's a Native American term. You know what I'm saying? So it makes sense. Like, Washington cut down the roots of the Moors, or the people who really established this land. And I'm sure some of your brothers seen Hidden Colors, where they talked about a lot of these paintings where you see George Washington, what you think might be a slave, but was really a Moor, who are the people who were building this country up. You know what I'm saying? The way you can tell that is because they in a turban, you know what I'm saying, all decked out. They're not looking like a slave, you know what I'm saying? So something must have happened where George did the Wichita. He chopped down the roots of the people who were building up this country, you know what I'm saying? But really that notion is not too far-fetched, man, because that's how they've been doing it from forever, man. You know what I'm saying? They did hip-hop. It's a perfect example, man. You know what I'm saying? It was built in these streets not too far from here. You know what I'm saying? But here comes a big corporation with the bigger studios, bigger cameras to take that credit away. You know what I'm saying? So the ones who really started it don't really get that credit. And now we think of terms like Def Jam and these big corporations thinking that these are the people that started it. And this is their pattern, man. They see what you do, they see you start something good, and then here they come. You know what I'm saying? And that's been throughout the history. So I'm not saying that as facts, I'm just saying it as a way for us to start decoding this history in terms of looking at it differently and looking at it more deeper. You know what I'm saying? And not just accepting that those information is in those history books, man. Because of course, by now we get knowledge itself. We have to know that the information they put in those history books is to keep us in that paradigm when you're thinking that they created everything, and we have to go to them for everything, and they have all the knowledge, man. When it's the It's the opposite way, man. It's totally different, man. The Bible speaks of that. Who, you know what I'm saying? It talks about them flipping everything upside down, man. And once you get into this knowledge, you start thinking like, yo, everything is upside down. Like you start thinking, okay, north is south and east is west. Like really, they did a great number in flipping everything upside down. Because if you stuck in that paradigm and did studies and how things are now, you're going to be stuck, and you have to really look at it and really flip this earth upside down and look at it differently. Like, oh, okay, it makes sense now more like this because, you know, they in that paradigm they want you to think a certain way, man, and they do that through the education. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I don't want to beat that horse too much, man. But
the only reason I asked you because as Hebrew Israelites, usually when we state something, there was a clue left somewhere, because the scriptures tell you that the white or Esau is gonna, their tongue's gonna fall upon themselves. So somewhere along the line, they slipped up and left some part of information. That's why I asked you how you came to the point where you believe that America was named America. If there was some clue that led you to that being your thought pattern now.
Well, the clues are the people who were building shop like that shit. I won't say slave shit because first Columbus came here first with builders, then the slaves came after. Those first builders were the Moors. Like you can't go around that. Like, you know what I'm saying? So if the Moors had, and those Moors meaning those northern African population of people who were started to spread out among the world because the white man started to come into Africa, you know what I'm saying? So they started to say, hey, you know, this people coming down with weapons, man, let's set up shop somewhere else. And that setting up shop somewhere else was here. You know what I'm saying? When they were ransacking Africa, a lot of the Moors left and set up shop right here. So that's why Columbus said, you know what I'm saying, that's how Columbus got all the knowledge. You're like, okay, where y'all going? You know what I'm saying? Where all these people are going? Where y'all bringing back these riches from? You know what I'm saying? Columbus' navigator was Pedro Alonso Nino. You know what I'm saying? He's the one who actually navigated Columbus to get over here. So this brother already knew the past, already knew where he was going, already was bringing back the riches back into Europe. You know what I'm saying? It's just Columbus, he wanted a piece of the pie. You know what I'm saying? But something must have happened where the credit was just, you know what I'm saying, taken away. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? Where all these Moors were already coming into the Americas dealing with and bartering with the Native Americans, you know what I'm saying? Something must have happened where, you know what I'm saying, okay, we're gonna stop that and now we're gonna come in and take over. And that's what happened. So I won't point you to a certain facts or text and say, okay, America was named after this. You kind of just have to put things together. Like, you know what I'm saying? If these brothers were over here, coming over here, setting up shop, you know what I'm saying? There has to be a little bit more than just a white man calling the whole country, you know what I'm saying? And then when you tie in the knowledge that all these continents are start with the letter A, now you're gonna tell me a white man named all this like this? Nah, man, it hasn't been the Moors. You know what I'm saying? Because that was their nature. The whole nature of the Moor was to improve humanity among the world. They were master navigators, you know what I'm saying? So they were traveling the world, spreading this knowledge, what they knew. You know what I'm saying? So and you had to kind of put one and one together and say if they were the ones traveling the world, then they had to be the ones naming these continents. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, sometimes you got to just challenge information. Sometimes it may not be concrete. We just have to break it down and decode it.
So, really in full effect, you got to ask questions.
That's right.
Okay, it doesn't mean that you ask a question and you think in your mind that it's a stupid question. It's only a stupid question if you don't ask it. Okay, all things you got to ask questions on. Like the thing on Christopher Columbus. How can Christopher Columbus discover America where people was here? It's like I discovered a car, but then you ain't discovered the car. Somebody owned it. So that right there is a lie. 24 beads, and the Indians were expert in making beads out of gold. Come on, that's a lie. So when you preach that lie and people believe it, without asking questions, does that make you look stupid? Yes, it does, because you weren't asking no questions. But a wise man asks questions before he believes. And that also says it in the scriptures.
That's right. Anyone want to add to that?
In terms of the way that certain lands got their names, like, you know, you don't think that America got its name from Amerigo Vespucci. What is your understanding on how, for instance, the continent of Africa got its name? You know, like in history, it's taught that Leo Scipio Africanus conquered all the dark nations, Africa being one of them, and he placed his name, or his name was placed on that land. What is your understanding on that? Do you believe?
I mean, from my understanding, there was words already in place, like Afra in Northern Africa, Afra. You know what I'm saying? And Kaaba, you know what I'm saying? Like, these words were already in place in Africa. You know what I'm saying? So my understanding is whoever that person was coming into a land where he was already hearing these terms. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know who I talked to this about this, but Christopher Columbus, I feel, was probably named something else. And after he accomplished his mission of promoting that false image of the false Christ, that's when they gave him the name Christopher. And it's like, you a photographer or a telegrapher or, you know what I'm saying? Christopher, I feel, was a title that they gave him after he put forth that false image of Christ. You know what I'm saying? So you can really look at his name and decipher it. You know what I'm saying? As someone who's offering or you know what I'm saying, like a photographer. You know what I'm saying? He was doing the Christopher. You know what I'm saying? I feel like his name itself is to be decoded. You know what I'm saying? Like he kind of accomplished the mission because really what his mission was, besides finding new lands, whatever the case may be, in that ship they had two paintings. They had that white Jesus, and they had that the painting of the Last Supper. So it was almost a promotional campaign, you know what I'm saying, to put these images out in the new world, you know what I'm saying, to do the Christopher, you know what I'm saying. So I don't know, you mean that information may be nowhere, but I look at it as his name itself was a title. And when you look at history, you know what I'm saying, this is not far-fetched, because things like Pharaoh and all these things are really not named, they're titles. You know what I'm saying? So really, people like Afrikaners or whatever these people name, I feel like they were sent out for missions, and after their missions were accomplished, they were given that name. You know what I'm saying? And that's just how I feel in terms of how history works and how that beast works. You know what I'm saying? But you know, that's just to add on to that. Man.
We know that Columbus's name was different. It was Cristobal Colon.
Okay.
So we know that name wasn't his original name. But he used from what I understand, that he used the scriptures in order to find his lands over here.
Right, he used the one that
right.
When y'all was shot quoted.
Yeah, he used a scripture in 2nd Esdras. And there's movies that go to show you that too. What is it?
1492.
1492. Because they always tell on themselves. There's clues everywhere. That's why I brought up the question before. I just want to know where your clues were. Because whatever thoughts we have, they come from some aspect of knowledge somewhere. So that's why I wanted to ask you that, you know?
Yeah, man.
But you said yours is not based on any particular text or stuff. This is what you've deduced from what you've read or what you've put together.
I mean, it's just making the connections, you know what I'm saying? You know, you're not going to really just find the facts out there like that, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to pull from different sources and kind of, you know what I'm saying, put it together yourself. And I think that's what we have to do throughout history, man. Like, look at it with a fine comb, you know what I'm saying? Because they're really good with taking that credit away. Really good with really make you think that they started something.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So sometimes, you know, once we get caught in that paradigm, you lost, you know what I'm saying? You start really giving credit away where credit is not due, you know what I'm saying? So we have to just really look at everything and question everything, you know what I'm saying? Perfect example is Santa Claus, man. You know what I'm saying? Santa Claus came from St. Nicholas.
Right.
St. Nicholas was a really righteous brother.
Right. Absolutely.
In those lands at a time when there was nothing but unrighteousness going on.
Right.
So you had this brother who gave him all his wealth, all his fortune to give back to the poor. And where he got that notion from the scriptures.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? A black Moor. You know what I'm saying? But now they take that image, flip it around, and once you start getting a little bit of knowledge of yourself, you look at that Santa Claus, you start hating that Santa Claus. Yes. Not knowing that it came from something really pure and righteous, man. Right. You know what I'm saying? So really, these things, that's how they do, man. They'll take something nice and pure, switch it up around, and now you start hating it. You know what I'm saying? Not knowing that it came from you from jump.
When you use the term Moor,
yeah,
in terms of a race of people, or is that a religion that you speak of?
The Moors is used to describe a group of people who were settled in the northern part of Africa. Because that term Moor you won't really hear in the southern part of Africa. That's more in the northern part of Africa. The Africans that were advancing up into Europe, the times of the Dark Ages, that were going up there and setting up shop, civilizing those who were really out of whack in the Dark Ages. In the Dark Ages, once the Roman Empire fell, right, everything fell. Like there was no kind of civilization. So they were up there wilding out. You know what I'm saying? So when these Moors came up there, they came and civilized everything. They came in with means of bathing and little basic things that a human must use to maintain themselves. You know what I'm saying? They came with the sciences. They came with street illumination. They illuminated the streets same way we have street lights here. Right. You know what I'm saying? So they came and advanced that whole civilization. You know what I'm saying? So that term Moor is really more in terms of the ones that came into Europe at a time where Europe was just nothing. You know what I'm saying? So they were looking at the Moors as gods. You know what I'm saying? The term Mogul we associate now with a lot of Caucasian rich people, right? But the term actually came from when these Caucasians were in the Dark Ages looking at these Moors coming draped with gold. Right. They call them Moguls. That's where the term came from. You know what I'm saying? So the term Moor is really in terms of how the Europeans were describing us as the people coming in to come save them. You know what I'm saying? It's like, wow, the Moors, you know what I'm saying? But something happened where it came from a feeling of admiration to now a jealousy to now we're trying to erase you from history now. They use your resources, they use all the things that you bring towards them to elevate them, and they won't give you the credit.
And they still do that to this day.
You know what I'm saying? And that's what the Moors were. There was ones who came, and the year they came in was July 7th, 7/11. Now look at those numbers right there. July 7th, 7/11. 7/7/7/11. These are things they do, how they rock. They leave these signatures behind, knowing that number 7 is that perfection number, that completion number. Right. So they incorporate it in all they do. King James did it. Columbus, they all did it. 1492 adds a 7. Everything they do, they add up to that number. And that's to tell you, folks, so the generations to come, if you're trying to figure out who was involved with that, if you decipher, you'll know the Moors had their hand in that.
The number 7 and the significance that it carries. Right. You just said that one of the significance it carries a symbol of completion. Right. Now for us, it does carry a symbol of completion, but for us, what it symbolizes is the 7 major captivities that our people have been in, and America being that 7th and final captivity that we're going to suffer. And after that, then, you know, Christ comes back and the kingdom of Israel is reinstituted on this earth. What does the number 7 in terms of completion mean to you?
You don't want to get. I mean, I did a presentation on YouTube breaking down numbers 1 through 9. Okay. I'm gonna go into it a little bit. When I deal with numbers, I don't deal with numbers as preconceived notions of what someone told me what the number is supposed to be. I deal with the number as a shape, as a symbol. Same way our brothers deal with metal net and all that. Like I break the number down and how it looks. So when you deal with that number 7, you look at it and you start to realize that it's almost looking like an arrow pointing up. You know what I'm saying? It's pointing upwards, like it's a uplifting, like, you know what I'm saying? It's awakening. You know what I'm saying? And everything about that 7 symbolizes awakening, rising up. You know what I'm saying? Going from the lower state to a higher state. Now look at the number that's before it, number 6.
Right.
Look at the shape itself. Like throw away all you know about number 6. The shape is showing you some kind of energy in the bottom with the line, with a low line on it, right?
Okay.
Opposite from the 9, where that energy is above. You know what I'm saying? So you have the 6 and the 9. You know what I'm saying? So check this out. From 6, then you have 7. That 7 is basically showing you rising up. It's pointing up. So whatever energy was low at the lower self at 6 is now rising up to 7. You know what I'm saying? And 8 is that duality of that the upper sphere dueling with the lower sphere. You know what I'm saying? The 8 is duality. You know what I'm saying? You got moon, sun, and moon, whatever you want to call it, yin and yang. You know what I'm saying? And only one could come above that duality, that conflict. That's when you get to number 9. So that process from 6, 7, 8, 9 is that lower self going into higher self. I'm not even dealing with what someone told me about those numbers. I'm just dealing with the shape itself. You know what I'm saying? So how it's a universal symbol. You know what I'm saying? You can replace it with anything. That sphere could be the energy, it could be your inner self, it could be the sun, whatever energy, the universal energy you're dealing with is pertaining to that. So now coming back to the number 7, it's a very powerful number, man. You won't find any religion or ideology to go against that because it's completing. It's that step above that lower self. It's that point where you go from being down here to taking that first step up. You know what I'm saying? Moving up. And just dealing with the shape itself. You know what I'm saying? So all religions, man, like the 7 chapters, the first 7 chapters is dealing with the story of creation. Our Father, who art in heaven. Those are 7 verses. You know what I'm saying? Look in the Quran, that prayer they say before they do anything. Allah, the beneficent, merciful, all these things, those are 7 verses. 7 is injected in all these ologies because it's that number of rising up, man. You awakening, you creating something from your lower state. You know what I'm saying? So that's what that number 7 represents, man. You're just dealing with the shape alone, not, you know what I'm saying, and injecting anybody else's beliefs towards that. I'm just dealing with the shape and how it looks and how it whatever energy you're dealing with number 6 and how it, you know what I'm saying, is that step above, rising up.
Okay. When you go into the Hebrew, the letter Gad, Gadal, I think it's called. Okay. It has the same shape of the 7,
Right.
and that the meaning of that symbol means to rise up or to like excel, or like the mountain, or you could compare it to the camel because it's you know shaped like that. So it means the same thing, to excel, to rise up.
Awakening, knowledge of self, you know what I'm saying, you get into a higher state, you know what I'm saying, you're dealing with the shape itself.